In the span of the last few days, I've been thinking more about McCarthy-Trump, and that is effectively a series where we'll see a resurrected Senator McCarthy coming to Trump's aid, uh, and basically accusing anyone and everyone that is opposed to him and makes, an actual compelling argument of being a communist. And there are a couple of purposes behind it. One is that it's based off of the comparisons I've seen between the two in the media, um, and also the fact that I think we could really get multiple sides depicted through that story. So, for example, people who like Trump and feel he's maligned by the media can watch this and go, "Oh, yeah, McCarthy's standing up for him, good job." And then whoever is the, you know, liberal host of the day can offer a rebuke, and then they'll be, for example, able to say something that many people in real life would be opposed to Trump for doing, and they'll actually have credibility because it's coming from someone that is um, has legitimate grievance with what Trump is doing. And in doing this show, I want there to I want it to start on the day that Trump's inaugurated, or at least right afterward, and just continue through his whole tenure. Um, but I might end it before that, depending on how it goes. Um, and as far as the biopics are concerned, the actual films, I have just been really busy with other things, and it's caused me to have to just try to cram stuff in. But I'm only one person, and I guess as I feel the never-ending cycle of death approaching, I get more inclined to want to just try and do all these things at once, um, and then it ends up crashing on me because I can't do them. And that saddens me that you can't put effort into things as much as you feel they should have effort put into them. If that makes sense. If one can understand where it sucks to want to do so much, and then as a single person be bound to do so little, just forced, because you still want to have some level of quality, but it also requires efforts by others in the way of voices, and that further delays, because with McCarthy-Trump, I can voice both McCarthy and Trump. Trump's voice would be a little bit like this. We're going to talk that way, and then McCarthy's voice would be a little relaxed and kind of reserved in a way, and also sort of in this general manner of speaking. So it's an idea that I think I have the I don't want to say talent for, but certainly the lead roles I can perform on my own. Problem is, I would want other political figures to be fixtures during this. Like, I'd love to have Pence be in there and have some joke about my president today. My president today. I'm not president today. Okay. Just the running gag of, oh, Trump will be impeached, and it never coming to pass, or to have it to where from episode one people always mention it, and then it just year after year after year, nothing changes. Um, I would genuinely get enjoyment from that, even as someone who's not a fan of him, because I have been fighting back against many of these claims. I keep saying it's not going to happen, but that's political beliefs in there. But I think this could really be something that people of both sides can kind of you know like. And I think if I maybe do something, because when I start one of these projects, the problem is that that first one tends to get overlapped with others. Um, and actually, the person who said, oh, if it doesn't get the amount of likes or whatever, it doesn't get picked up by somewhere, it's a failure. But yeah, but with all this stuff, you're always going to be the underdog. You don't have a studio backing, you don't have some big budget, you don't have just really anything other than paper, a computer, a little bit of time to do it, and then whoever sees it. And that, even then, that's still not a given. So really, there's no set way of doing this that isn't playing Russian roulette. As far as weighing the pros and cons of if it gets discovered, I would feel appeased even if, and I don't suspect it to get popular. It's kind of just how it is, where you put effort. I'm used to putting effort into something and then it doesn't get seen by many people. But I would feel much more at ease with myself knowing that I tried versus saying, "Oh, what's the point? It's never going to get big. It's never going to make it." So I hope that it can be understood by people, and hopefully we can get this script out the way. I've started the writing of it, and I like what's being conveyed there so far. I'm just hoping that the other ideas don't start over flooding my head, um, because when that happens, usually I just zone out. And it's sad too because I really get off on the fact that I can go and talk about some story or issue that interests me, and when I can't do it or otherwise convey it the way I want, just like when I was talking about doing the projects based around the early lives of political figures, I really wanted to do things that encompassed people that don't get talked about. No one, people talk about Washington all the time, but they don't talk about Augustine Washington. They don't talk about Thomas Lincoln, or which is Lincoln's father. You get the point that there are these figures that are relating to major people in history that don't get discussed. And I think it's insane that we completely trivialize the lives of those that make an impact in the lives of those that make an impact in society. So it's this kind of thing where someone who's much less famous influences someone who's much more famous, and then we just completely cut off or show any interest in the life of the person who is a bigger name. And that's why I've taken to trying to learn about family members of presidents, and just senators and other people that, if there's any information on, I've tried to really get a grasp of it, because I hate the idea that you can sit here and actually impact society through somebody, giving them values or a belief system that later on comes to shape public policy, and then you're completely regulated to maybe a footnote in history. You might be mentioned in a couple of pages of a biography of them, but that's about it. And I think when you reward what I would consider good behavior, if it is something productive, I think when you choose not to reward it, you really do incentivize the problem we have with society, which is that you pay more attention to those who cause destruction and mayhem that we don't see that often, for its sensationalism, as opposed to the guy who sits and works somewhere for 40 or 50 years. That's why I took an interest in the longest serving senators and Congress, what do you call it, House members, because even with them, they have, even if you say, okay, well, that is formulaic, all these long careers, yeah, but they have things about their careers that are by themselves interesting. The story of Daniel Inouye, for example, the senator that didn't have an arm, I thought was very interesting. Problem is, you have to cram through and see what in there you can end it on, what in there you can make it the story of. It's just that these are really good tales that, if they were given the time of day, that it seems most political figures don't get in this era of filmmaking about murderers and other nonsense. You could really tell stories of people who had parts of their lives that go beyond the bare minimum of, oh, he voted for this and supported that and was in favor of this. There's hidden depths to these historical figures that I don't need to embellish on. I don't need to add anything to, other than to just put it on screen via a computer or somewhere else, and somebody can pick it up and go, wow, that actually excited me. And I just hate the fact that we so often can't do that for these figures. We can't sit back and say, man, I really wish I could get a film about this one person. I could get a movie about this other figure. When I was talking about Polk, for example, here's what's considered by many historians to be the most successful single-term president. He doesn't have anything to his name other than his tenure, and I think that's ridiculous. I think his early life was something that should be discussed. All of his life should be gone over, and it never gets told. It's the weirdest thing in the world. They completely cut off all of these major figures in favor of whoever is slightly more contemporary. and that saddens me. You have a higher chance of getting a film made about you if you went out and committed some egregious crime versus being a, impactful legislator. I don't think automatically if you hold office you should get a movie, but if you impact things, I don't see why you wouldn't. Especially if it's done by the. I think any adequate filmmaker can make a story entertaining. Um, in my opinion, no matter what it is. If it's, oh, this person ran for office and lost, make the race the most engaging thing ever. Go behind the scenes, look into what the deal was. And it's sad that we can't take things for what they are. But yeah, I hope that this has made some sense. I am going to write this script, and we'll see what happens. But thank you, and have a good day. Also, um, P.S. I still want to do the biopics. I already mentioned which ones are on the higher pantheon. What's ended up happening is that in a lot of cases, I just say let's try to give an overview film where it's the whole life of the person condensed into one thing. So with the Theodore Roosevelt thing, for example, you'll probably get the whole story versus just tenure in office. I'd rather that than this one policy. Here's the even though I do like what was written for it, but I don't see it being that long. I don't want to do a whole series of films about this person, um, especially when there are other figures that I'm just as interested in, if not more. So hope it makes sense. But yeah, McCarthy-Trump. I like the idea. We'll see if it happens. Let's hope. Thank you.